The second reason that I agree with Andrew Tate is that he preaches personal responsibility.
So those who are successful are very self-accountable people. They look at themselves and go, okay, the only way I'm going to get and progress further, the reason she left me, the only way I'm going to do better, make more money, et cetera, is I have to change.
And it's actually my favorite thing that he talks about. And we just did an episode on blame, aka personal responsibility. So, Jay, personal responsibility has triggered a lot of young men to step up their game and go to the gym and get healthier and get better and learn about business and be better people. So why do you think it took someone like Andrew Tate to make something so important like personal responsibility a thing?
Another great question. And I'll start by pointing out that I was raised by a mom and a dad, and I got a strong sense of personal responsibility, discipline, and commitment from who? Which parent instilled that in me?
Probably your dad.
Absolutely. Absolutely my dad. And our landlord also has a strong sense of discipline, commitment, and personal responsibility. And he was raised by a mom and a dad. Where would you imagine his discipline and personal responsibility came from? Which member?
Of his father.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you were raised without a dad for quite a while. And would you say you gained a strong sense of personal responsibility, discipline, and commitment?
I didn't understand personal responsibility or commitment until I had a daddy.
Yeah.
So no, not until 4.5 years ago.
Fair enough. And if we were to examine or study countless other people, would we discover that the ones with personal responsibility got it from a strong masculine authority figure early on?
Yes.
Yeah, damn straight you would.
I
defy anyone to study this. You just like, whatever. It's a gimme. Of course. And when you came across entitled people with very little sense of accountability or responsibility or discipline, would we also discover that they usually come from families without a strong authority figure, masculine authority figure? They didn't have a mentor. They didn't have a teacher. They had very little masculine guidance in their early years. Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And this makes a lot of sense because my ex-husband was raised by a single mother. So he didn't have that either. And so he's not teaching our son that himself.
And were you?
Because he doesn't.
Were you a bastion of discipline? Super committed, high integrity?
Of course not. But it's interesting because even though my son has had his father in his life, his whole life, his father's been there.
But he's a feminine leaning person.
But he is a feminine leaning person, and he wasn't raised with a strong male role model. He had none.
Yeah. It's not super complicated. Yeah. Since the beginning, since forever, a strong masculine presence while raising a child, and I don't care if it's just like a super butch lesbian or whatever, but a strong masculine presence is likely going to lead that child to have a strong sense of personal responsibility and discipline. And if you take away a strong masculine presence and the child is raised mostly with a feminine presence, they might be great at many different things, but personal responsibility, discipline, and commitment are rarely one of them.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So with that in mind, if we take a look at the last 20, 40, 60 years of society, has our society been growing more and more masculine or more and more feminine? Have we become more liberal and in our feelings and caring about feelings and emotions, or have we become more and more, conservative and fact-based and reality-based and personal responsibility and that kind of thing?
Every day that goes by, I see less and less masculine men out in the world.
Okay. So you asked, why does it take someone like Andrew Tate to come along and start teaching people personal responsibility? And if we understand that personal responsibility is something that's passed down from masculine presence to masculine presence throughout the ages, and our society has more and more been losing that masculine presence and those masculine authority figures, what's going to disappear along with them?
Personal responsibility.
Yeah. And if we have a desert of masculine authority and a desert of personal responsibility, then when someone loud and brash and influential like Andrew Tate comes along and starts spreading this message, he's like an oasis in the desert.
Yes.
And everyone looking to learn personal responsibility, because it's an important thing to learn, and deep down in our soul we all kind of know we need this,
yes,
are going to flock to that oasis. They're going to drink like a fish. They're going to eat it up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Like if the world is missing something and somebody steps forward and gives it to them, then there you go. And I think, like you said, a lot of these boys, these young men who are his followers and that love him so much, they haven't heard any of the stuff that he's saying before. So that's why they're attracted to him.
Yeah, they weren't raised with a lot of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And so they desperately want it from him. Let me learn it from this guy.
Yes.
Or they have some personal responsibility and they resonate with him because they're like, oh, a fellow responsible dude. I resonate.
Yes.
So
yeah, it makes perfect sense.